Hey friends, there is a brand new LED Contact Poi on the market, and it's coming from Ultrapoi. Drex here from DrexFactor.com with an unboxing and review of the new Orb Poi from Ultrapoi. Before we dive in, I just want to give a shout out to the friends of the channel. Big thanks to Dark Monk, Flow Toys, LMF Props, Spinballs, and Ultrapoi for helping to make the videos on this channel possible. You can learn more about all these awesome companies by checking out the links that I've got down in the description of this video. So I've had these for a few weeks now, and I've gotten to put them through their paces, and I'd like to share my thoughts with you. But first, I want to show you what comes in the package with these. So let's turn on over to the unboxing section of this here, yeah? Okay, so first up, it ships in a standard priority mail envelope. It's a padded envelope, so what's inside must not be that terribly delicate. I'll go ahead and start by just tearing the thing open and seeing what we have on the inside here. Cool, so it looks like a black fabric bag that has white drawstrings at the top of it. Go ahead and pull apart these strings here. And right inside, we have both of the poi. They're tied together by their tethers. So I don't know if you guys can make this out that well, but the texture on the surface of the balls is kind of a clear, diffuse silicone. And there is this crisscross pattern across the surface of it. I'm going to go ahead and try and turn these on and see if I can find my favorite mode, which is just plain white, solid, no strobing. So it seems like the controls really haven't changed that much between the generations of these chips. So let me go ahead and take a look at the rope here. This looks to me to be about 3/8 inch rope, and it is held together currently by a little S-clip. I'm gonna go ahead and take that off the tether so you can get a closer look at it. Awesome. So the version of these that I was sent also includes the new generation of Ultra Pros. I think these are the same chips that are in the heads, so the controls should be pretty much exactly the same. Let me see if I can get both the handles and the heads on just solid white mode. Cool. So that wasn't so hard. Alright, so as I keep digging through the bag here, I find a bunch of different things. A plastic bag, a length of rope, and a couple of USB cords. So I'm going to take a look inside this plastic envelope here. So it looks like these are some Ultrapoi cards, stickers, and if I am not mistaken, this bigger document here is going to be the manual that tells us all the different modes for these. Yep, sure enough, there it is. Pretty simple. I'll go ahead and go more in depth on this in the review. And of course, we also have these USB charging cables, which are Y cables. That is, they have one end that plugs into a standard USB 2 outlet, and it splits off into two micro USB cables. Cool, so altogether then, we have the poi, the bag, the manual and stickers, the USB cables, some extra rope, and of course that S-clip. Cool. So let's go ahead and dive into a review. So let's talk ease of use, features, durability, battery life, price, and I'm going to give you 3 positives and 3 negatives in terms of my thoughts on these. So first up, I just want to point out that they're using the exact same chips inside of their heads that they are in their new Ultra Pros, which I'll do a separate review for down the road. But suffice it to say that all of the things that you can expect from the knobs, you can also pretty much expect from the heads, and that's going to come into play a lot in terms of this review. So one of the good parts about them using the same chips, both in the heads as well as the handles, is that ease of use is the same in both, which is to say they're really easy to use. One of my tests whenever I get a new set of poi is to try and play around with them without having read a single word of the instructions, just to see how easy and intuitive they are to use. And I'm happy to report that these are really, really intuitive to use. You can find a setting that you like very, very quickly and easily. One thing that may get you is that they have a new button lock feature wherein when you're turning the poi on, you actually have to push the button twice within 3 seconds in order to get them to turn on. That I figured out relatively quickly, but if you are finding a situation where you're not sure why it's not turning on right away, that would be the why on that. So now let's talk features. Now, the heads are actually 97 millimeters, which I did not realize until I started playing around with them. They're actually closer in size to a 100 millimeter ball than they are to a 90 millimeter ball. The rope is 3/8 inch, and it's an interesting kind of rope that I haven't seen before in that it kind of resists torque, twisting back and forth on the line and everything, but otherwise it's still pretty flexible. It's not like static rope where you can stand it on end or anything like that. but it still has the thickness that you would expect from a 3/8 inch rope. The chips themselves have 7 different colors that you can access. There's a red, an orange, a green, a blue, a violet. There's a straight white. There's also 4 combinations that basically are color fade modes, going from a fire mode where it's like going back and forth between red and orange, to a rainbow mode where it goes through every single color, and a couple others as well. Honestly, most of the time I just play on the solid color modes. Any individual mode that you get onto also has 3 possible strobing modes. One where it just flashes quickly, another one where it has longer sections to it, and of course the solid color, which I'm always a fan of. Accessing it is not that difficult. You just hold down the button until it flashes that orange, and then you keep on pushing the button to go between those different strobing modes. Again, solid is my favorite. You get back out of it by holding the button down until it flashes that yellow again, and you're right back to being able to switch back and forth between the different color modes. Okay, so now let's talk durability. As many of us will remember from the original Ultra knobs, durability was one of the big Achilles heels there. Namely, occasionally you'd find situations where it was really easy to pop the chips out of the knobs, or pieces would break off of the chips when you hadn't been even using them terribly heavily and everything. And I'm pleased to report that so far so good with the durability of these. It helps that the assemblies that holds the pieces into both the heads as well as the handles are much more robust now than they used to be. And also just in general, I've been dropping these a lot, I've been throwing these around a lot, and I haven't had any problems yet. We'll see what the long term is on that one, but at least after a couple weeks of usage, I'm going to say that the durability looks a lot better than the first generation of these chips. Okay, so now let's talk brightness. And if when I said that they're using the same chips in the handles that they are in the heads, thought, wait a second, that might be a thing. Well, you're not wrong. These are not the brightest LED Poi that I have used. I'm pleased to announce that the light does diffuse through the heads very well. At nighttime, that was the thing that I was really worried about, that all the light would just be concentrated up in the top and you wouldn't be able to see it diffuse that much through the rest of the head. And so far, every time I spin them at night, it seems to be a really, really even light going through the heads, which is really good to see. Now that said, the fact of the matter is these are not terribly bright. If I were to take these out in daylight with the lights on, I would not know that they were on at all. When it gets darker, they're perfectly fine, they're perfectly serviceable and everything. It really depends on the application and how much you want to be seen with these. These are definitely bright enough for my practice, that's for sure. I don't know that I would use these for performance situations. They're definitely not that bright. Cool, now let's talk about battery life. So this is one of the big shortcomings on these. I've done several battery tests now with all the different chips that I have available on these new Orb Poi and the handles and everything. And here's what I'm finding. It's looking like at about 2 hours in, you start having a thing where power starts fading into the LEDs and the blue and green LEDs are starting to fade away and everything. So you're starting to slip into what I call red mode. By about 2.5 hours in, for all intents and purposes, they're dead. You might be able to get them to strobe on red, but that's it. And quite frankly, you are working on borrowed time at that point too. I'd like to give you 3 things that I like and 3 things that I don't about these. And I'm going to try and make this a regular feature in all of my reviews in the future. The build quality on these is actually quite good. These are definitely Poi that feel like they were engineered to be Poi, that feel like from top to bottom they were thinking about what the experience was going to be of using them. And because of that, these actually feel really good to use, and I really like that. I also love the simplicity of the controls. Seriously, most of the time I just want to get to a solid color and rock out there, and these make it quite easy to get there. And finally, the price, like $75 for a set of LED Poi. Granted, they're more with the Ultra knob handles and everything, but for $75 for a set of LED Contact Poi, that's pretty dang good. Okay, so now 3 things that I think could really use improvement on these. As much as I enjoy using these, it is really a buzzkill to only get 2, maybe 2.5 hours out of them tops. Like, that is not going to get you through a night of spinning, unfortunately. Second thing is the brightness. Like, I really wish that I could use these for performances because they do feel really good to use and everything, but they're just not bright enough for that. And to be honest, it seems like brightness is one of those things that poi spinners tend to really harp on, sometimes even more than the number of modes and all that with their LED poi. So the brightness is definitely an Achilles heel on these right now. And finally, and this is a problem that has existed since the first generation of these chips, and that's that there's no true white mode on these. When you get to white color on them, it's really more of like a light lavender and everything, and I would love to have like a truly balanced white that these could do and everything. It's not a deal breaker, but it's definitely something that if I were to throw that out as a, hey guys, if you can fix this in the next generation, that'd be great, that would be high on my list. Awesome. So Orb Poi from Ultrapoi are available over at ultrapoi.com, and they start at $74.95 a pair. That's without the LED handles. If you want to get the LED handles with them, that is these new generation of Ultra Knob Pros, it's going to run you $124.95. If you want to get a discount on your order, please use the code DREXFACTOR with a 0 instead of an O at checkout. It gets you a discount and it helps out the channel, so everybody wins. Cool. So thanks to Ultrapoi for having sent me these to play around with and review. I've really been enjoying playing with them, and I'm going to continue to do so. Do you guys have a set of Orb Poi already? Let me know down in the comments what you think of them, and also let me know, what is your favorite set of LED Poi? Or more specifically, what is your favorite set of LED Contact Poi? I would love to find out. Before I set you guys loose, I just want to put out a massive thank you to all of my wonderful supporters on Patreon. These guys are the reason that this video and all the videos on this channel exist. And if you would like to sign up to support the work that I do, please head on over to patreon.com/DrexFactorPoi and sign up. Thanks in advance.